Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Commit to Care webinar here. My name is Monica Hernandez. I'm a Senior Executive Military Enrollment Specialist at Chamberlain University. So again, just want to welcome you. Sorry for the delay here. We just had a couple of technical issues, so just wanted to get those resolved before we got started. So thank you so much for your patience. So we've started this series to have our Chamberlain students and alumni share what it's really like to step forward into a rewarding career in nursing. Nurses are needed now more than ever, and there has never been a better time to pursue a career in healthcare. So with that said, our format today for our event is super informal. We're using this go-to webinar meeting format. So you will not be on camera, but we will be. And also we'll be addressing questions at the end. So on your end in your control panel, you do have a questions tab. So we'll be asking that you put all your questions in the questions box. I'll let you know how to launch that here when the time comes, and we'll read those questions out loud and get those addressed. So I want to go ahead and get everyone introduced to you. So today we do have our wonderful Chamberlain students and alumni with us. So far, we do have Nika Banks, who is a student here at Chamberlain, and our alumni, we do have Donnie Johnson, and hopefully joining us in a few will be Malia Robertson, who will be sharing with you today on the topic work-life balance in nursing school. I'd also like to welcome from our admissions team, Molly Timothy, and from Student Services, Jordan Cannon, to help address our questions from our Q&A here at the end. So we're going to go ahead and get started and introduce our students and alumni, hear a little bit about themselves, and I have some questions we can get going for our panel this morning. So 15 minutes will be spent on going through some of these panel questions, and then we'll spend the last maybe 10-15 minutes on the Q&A with you all. So starting with Nika. Nika, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself. Oh, Nika, can you hear me okay? She might not be able to hear me. All right, so while we're trying to resolve our tech issues there, let's go ahead and maybe move over to Donnie. Donnie, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes, welcome. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for joining us
Well,
this morning. So do you mind
yes,
introducing yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I don't mind at all. My name is Donnie Jackson Johnson. I am a very proud 2019 Chamberlain University alumni. I just am very pleased and thankful that I was thought of to be on the panelist committee for today. It's an honor and a privilege when you can give back to the school that has been just so outstanding and so awesome, at least for me. I can't speak for others, but I can speak for myself. And Chamberlain, at the time when I decided to go back and get my BSN, was what I needed. Everything just fell into place, and I was able to complete my work, not without difficulty, but it's just honest. It's really an honest pleasure just to be here today, you all. I'm not on video wise because actually I'm recovering from major back surgery, but I am still going to try to do whatever I can to make this event a success.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm wishing you a speedy recovery and thank you for, joining us today in the midst of your recovery process. You sound great. You sound
Yes,
very upbeat
ma'am.
and positive.
Well,
So,
I try to keep a positive attitude. I always tell people God has been good to me. And if life throws you lemons, make you some lemonade, put your little dash of sugar in there and make it kind of sweet so it's not tart all the time. But God can get you through anything if you have enough faith.
excellent. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And just want to test, maybe Nika, is your mic working okay? So I can. I can see you. I just can't hear you. Are you able to unmute or
Hello?
maybe?
Can
Oh,
you hear me
there you
now?
are. Yes. Hi,
Yay!
Nika. How's it
Sorry,
going?
so sorry about the technical difficulties,
It's
but
okay.
I'm here. I downloaded the app on my phone. It didn't work out like I thought it would. But yes, how are you guys
Oh, it's
doing?
okay. Good, good. Why don't you tell us a
Morning.
little bit about yourself, Nika?
I'm Nick. I'm a registered nurse. I do MDS, which is kind of like the reimbursement side of a skilled nursing facility. So I just do an assessment of all the patients. It's just like a total look of every patient. And we create a score, and that score reflects what the facility will be reimbursed for taking
Awesome.
care of.
Awesome. And you're
Mhm.
currently a nursing student here in which program?
Yes, I'm in the RN to BSN to MSN. I'm looking at informatics for now.
Fantastic. Are you already on the MSN side or are you still on your undergraduate classes?
No, I'm knocking on the door. I have two more classes for the BSN and then I'll transition to the MSN part. So I'm really excited.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for the introductions. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with some of the questions here for our panel. So I'm going to start with Donnie. So, Donnie, what would you say was your biggest school work life challenge at the time when you were in school, and how did you successfully resolve it?
My biggest, I guess, the biggest thing for me to overcome, I had two, I guess you could say, episodes or illness. One was a chronic eye infection, which caused me to be partially blind in one eye. And I was still trying to work full time, go to school. I chose being an older, non traditional student in my 50s plus. I felt one class would be the best out for me, and it did. It worked out very, very well because I was able to better concentrate and focus than I did in my younger days when you take school classes as a nurse and we take four, three, four, five classes at a time, and by the end of the day or the end of the evening, your brain is just frazzled. It's gone. And so I was able to concentrate better doing one class at a time. And then toward the end of me going from my RN to BSN, I had a colon cancer scare. And at that time, I was taking statistics, and I had a pretty decent grade because of all that going on and trying not to, let family know what was going on, trying to, maintain, stay at that A top level and not diminish anything. It was really, really difficult. And, but Chamberlain, the way the setup is, you can take one or more classes. You have to find out what your best balance is. For me, working full time, one class was enough. And then through all of this, with all of the illness and things, I had to take 2 months off to get myself together, to recoup, regroup, and I came back more determined than ever. And I did finish up in August of 2019, and I graduated in September of 2019. I actually went to a graduation, got to wear my cap and gown. I went to St. Louis, Missouri to graduate because I was unable to go to um, Schaumburg, Illinois, where we have our graduation with my other classmates because I was ill at that time. So you can do it. I tell anybody it's up to you, but you've got to make sure you've got your priorities together.
That is an incredible success story, let me tell you. Like, you definitely have persevered through some big life challenges, and it sounds like you were able to utilize that flexibility that Chamberlain provides by taking one class at a time, to kind of bring down that course load to help you, manage it all in the midst of what was going on. And certainly, again, just want to applaud your perseverance as well, and I appreciate you sharing that. A lot of times nurses are very concerned about going back to school and how they're going to manage it all. And it sounds like just through your own personal motivation and utilizing our flexibility, it sounds like that's kind of what helped you really get through it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing. And for
You're welcome.
Nika, how did you, and currently, Nika, you're a student, so you've probably developed your, rhythm in school already. So how are you arranging your schedule? And, are you taking one class like Donnie did or two? What do things look like on your end schedule wise? And how do you manage it all?
Okay, I started out with one class per semester, well, per 8 weeks. Next year, when I start again, I'd love to jump into doing two of them because, like I said, I'm trying to get to the MSN side, so I only have two classes, so that's going to kind of motivate me to start two classes. But one class was definitely manageable. I work Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. So by the time I get home, I know that I'm really not going to have that much energy, or my mind has been drained from being at work. So I like to do things on the weekend because our class week starts on a Sunday.
Mhm.
So that Sunday, whenever the discussion panel opens up or the assignment opens up, I like to, on that first day, I'm there because I know on my weekends I have my Saturday, Sundays off. So that's kind of how I've structured myself to really start the assignment and treat it as if it's due on the day of opening. That way, if I get tied up with anything, I have the whole week. But I don't like to start an assignment like during the week because I know how I feel at the end of my workday that I'm not really going to be as motivated. So that's what really has kept me on track, just the classes, opening up the assignments on that Saturday or that Sunday.
Mm.
So that's why I dedicate most of my time on the weekends for studies.
That's fantastic. Okay, so you're arranging your schedule based on once the week opens, you start those initial discussions, and then you're pretty much working the rest of the week, and then the days that you're off more closer to the weekend is when you're setting aside that time to start your assignments and get everything turned in by Sunday night. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. Like I have the whole week, but I know that I can kind of, if I can't get to it as soon as the class opens, then I can kind of break things up during the week. But I never depend on completing the assignment that Saturday before, because then it's like it's a total rush by then. But that's manageable when you take one class a week and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have a full-time situation, job, family, and everything. Now with two classes, I can see myself definitely dedicating some time during the week, but in smaller sessions to try to complete an assignment.
That makes sense. And what's your work schedule like now?
It's 8 to 4:30, so it's time, Monday through Friday.
Gotcha. Okay, fantastic. And so, Donnie, when you recall, back when you were managing school assignments during the week, how did you schedule things for yourself? Was it similar to the way Nika does it, or did you structure it a little bit different based on your schedule?
Actually, I was gonna say, Nika, me and you must have great minds. They say great minds think alike, and I basically did the same thing when our per se work weeks, study week started on a Sunday, and we had 8 weeks. I would make a little list, and I had a little. My little to-do list. I had sticky notes everywhere. I had my markers. I got most of my books used either through the bookstore, or if I wanted the actual book, I would order it through Amazon, and I'd get nice used books. But I would divvy up and start out the gate, out the block on Sunday. That way, by the time Wednesday came, if we had a project, if we had a paper, like Nika said, putting it into smaller segments, even though I was working every day, when I got off from work, after family time, after dinner, whatever, then I stuck in the books, and I would usually shut it down by midnight so I could get some rest and start the next day. But if you start early, don't wait, don't procrastinate, especially in a class where you know you have a big project coming up, like a paper or a PowerPoint. Do not wait until the last minute. Start getting and gathering your information, whatever you need for that particular project early, because if you wait until the last minute, just like Nika said, you'll be trying to do everything in a rush, trying to get it done by the weekend and get it submitted. And some things that you may have wanted to present, you're not able to because just in a rush. So if you kind of space it out and take your time, whether you take 1, 2, or 3 classes, you stagger it, it's a better chance for success.
Hmm. Very good. Thank you. That's great advice. Awesome. So, transitioning a little bit to the Chamberlain experience, for you, Nika, what about Chamberlain's online format or features has helped you really balance your work and personal life? Like, what do you feel like has been the most helpful for you?
The most helpful thing I would say, the way I operate when I look at the class, it can be overwhelming to look at all the assignments you have. Like you don't know where to start. So I like to go to the grades section of the Chamberlain dashboard and kind of operate from there so that I know, okay, this is coming due. I need to get things together for this, for that. It just, I kind of use that as what's really important, what's on the forefront of the class. So that's really helpful that everything is just laid out for me in that grades tab. Then I just know how to work from there. I think that's extremely helpful. And also the instructor emailing kind of every couple of days, just saying, oh, well, if you need any help, let me know what's going on, especially during COVID. I thought that was really helpful because it was just a reminder for me to just, okay, I got going. I have to keep going with everything. So the instructors really, really care at Chamberlain. The email every couple of days just as a reminder, and it kind of reminds me as I go through my busy work week, oh wait, let me check on my assignments, let me see what type of research or whatever I need to do just to work towards getting my assignments completed.
Okay. And so is that a, well, in addition to that, was there also a resource that you feel it, that you utilize the most and in during while you've been in school outside of I think the grading is great so that you're able to track your assignments and what your grades have there been any other resources that you utilize the most, whether it be the mobile app or anything that you felt has been most helpful?
I think that the online library was really helpful because we're doing a lot of research and written assignments. So just having access to several scholarly articles was definitely a huge benefit to have. So I spent most of my time, like when I did need an article, because when you do a discussion post, you need to have a scholarly source. So just having the library tab on the left side or just quick access from the Chamberlain dashboard was really helpful as well.
Excellent. Yeah, it definitely helps so you can narrow down your program and it narrows down the databases that you're utilizing to find, some legit scholarly articles that are necessary for your assignment. So very good. Thank you for sharing. And for Donnie, for yourself, what Chamberlain resource do you recall, that you utilize the most? And, at what point did you learn about that resource and how was it helpful for you to to balance everything out?
The main 2 resources that I used during my 18-month journey through Chamberlain, that's how long it took me. It would have been 16 months, but I took 2 months off for illness and just to refresh myself. I utilized the library a lot, just like um, uh, I'm sorry, I lost it as far as her name. I don't want to mispronounce anybody's name.
Nika?
Nika, forgive me, Nika. This medicine girl, it messes with me. So y'all pray for me. But we gonna get through this together. But like Nika said, I utilized the library. It was kind of scary at first. And honey, I got brave one day and I was just like, oh Lord, I'm kind of old. I'm not getting this. What am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Honey, I called the librarian and talked to the librarian, and the librarian was like, okay, well, I help you this, that, and a third. And so it's like we have so many resources. You probably won't even use them all, but the library, and if worst case scenario, y'all do like me and call the librarian. I even called and got tutoring assistance with stats. I want to say with my papers, with English, I used what was it, Grammarly to help me, but I also got some help through tutoring. We have tutoring, so you can utilize tutoring. There's just so much Chamberlain offers. And I was like, I was kind of embarrassed and ashamed because I felt like I should have utilized all these resources. And when I was down and feeling depressed because I suffer with depression, one of my instructors actually turned me on to Chamberlain Cares. And that's a system where you can actually talk to somebody about your problem or your issue that you're having, and they'll help you to get over the hump, and they provide you with more resources. So yes, there are plenty of resources for Chamberlain. You may not get to use them all, but everyone that I used, the tutoring, the access to our library, and then Chamberlain Cares, if you're really going through a hard time or you're just having problems and issues and you just don't know what to do, what direction to turn in, or how to cope, there are people that are willing to help you. Chamberlain wants it to be a win-win situation, and they do provide us with the resources to help you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. And the you both have provided some great advice as well along the way as you've been sharing your experience. So before we transition into the Q&A, just want to wrap up with some recommendations. So anything else for the both of you, like what advice can you give someone who maybe a prospective student who's struggling with the idea of adding school to their schedule along with a full-time job and or may even have a family? What advice can you give for that?
I would say start just with one class. Just enroll in that one class, get a schedule together. Like I was talking about before, how I did the majority of my work on a Sunday when the class opens. Now that doesn't mean that I'm just I'm just love to start early on assignments. But when I realistically looked at my schedule, I was like, okay, this is the time where I need to start my assignment realistically. So write down your schedule, create like a plan so that you can have effective time management. But just start with one class to try it out, because you really will not know until you try. But don't be afraid. Chamberlain's very supportive. I say just give it a go. Just start with one class.
I like that. And it's a lot of times I'll suggest that too to my students that are nervous. I'll say, well, why don't you start with one class? And I'm sure Molly, you do the same. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know that was an option. Like that sounds like a fantastic option. And they feel the same way that you have described, Nika, that it's been a solid start for them to just balance one, and then they assess and reflect on their experience, and then they can determine, okay, I can handle two, or maybe not yet. Maybe I'll just continue with one for now. So thank you for sharing. And Donnie, any other recommendations you want to add to that?
Um, I feel like one class for me and my situation, one class per 8 weeks worked out well because like I said, I did work full time. I did a lot of community service work with my job in relation to that. um, One of our classes, in fact, community health, I happened to be working in community health during the time that community health was being offered. So a lot of the projects, a lot of the assignments that we had, it was so much easier because I actually was working in community health at that particular time. Then it was much more of a challenge later on because I went into psych and I was working 3 to 11. So I would get up in the morning after I did my prayer and devotion, after I did my walk. I would do an assignment, or I would do a discussion post, like Nika said, between that Sunday and that Wednesday cutoff. Also, I would start preparing for my papers, what have you. Then I would come home in the evening. When I got home about 11:30, I still had like about an hour, because we're on the mountain time, to complete a discussion post, right quick, a response, or to do some fine tuning or tweaking of my papers or assignments. And by the weekend, I was able to get everything organized. Then by me being off on the weekend, like Nika said, I was able to go ahead and complete and get everything sent in. So I wasn't worried about being late for an assignment because I had the weekend to fine tune, tweak everything, and get it submitted.
Excellent. And what I'm hearing a lot from you, Donnie, is just utilizing your resources. Like you said earlier, you used tutoring and you called the librarian, like you took the initiative to reach out to get assistance. And I think that's a big part of it too, is just understanding, what your resources are, who they are, and then taking the initiative to contact them and utilize that resource to really support your journey here as a student. So thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate your feedback and want to go ahead and switch gears here and open up the floor to questions from our audience. And remember, we do have Molly Timothy here from our admissions team, along with Jordan Cannon from Student Services. So we're all going to be answering questions here for you. So what you want to do is go to your control panel and you're going to click on the questions tab. And so it does expand it. And now you can actually pop that questions tab out by clicking on on the upper right hand corner of the tab, there's an X and there's a box with like this arrow that goes diagonally. So you want that arrow box icon to then undock that questions box. And that is going to allow you to expand it. You can kind of drag the box, make it bigger. So that allows you to go ahead and type in your questions, and we'll go ahead and get those questions answered here. So go ahead and take a few moments to type your questions in, and we'll go ahead and address those for you. Donnie, I don't know if you saw this comment. There's some really nice comments here for you from
Mhm.
Nicole Seamus. One says, honored to hear from you, Donnie. Get well soon. God bless your sweet soul, Donnie. Very powerful and inspiring. Keep going.
Oh,
Very
thank
nice comment.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, guys. How awesome. God is good. Oh.
Wonderful. So go ahead and type in your questions. Again, just go ahead and undock that question box and type your questions in, and we'll be happy to go ahead and address those for you. Whether it be about being a student here or admissions. I'll give it about maybe 1 to 2 more minutes, just in case anyone's having any trouble getting those questions in. I'm also going to shoot a little question out to everyone in the questions box, maybe give them something to respond to in case there's any, in case you need that to hit the reply or send to all. So you'll be typing in your question in the box and then you'll hit the send to all in the questions box so we can all see your question. So maybe about 1 more minute. Any feedback as well. Definitely invite you to type in your feedback too. What do you think about today's seminar? I have a comment in here that says it was informative and reassuring. I agree, definitely. There's nothing like getting feedback from an actual student, alumni, to share their personal experience, being a student. It's one thing to be able to, get some information off the website or maybe even through admissions, we have some great information that we provide to our prospective students, but it's just such a wonderful opportunity to actually talk to someone who is working full time, unpredictable hours, who has, a family and is wanting, to be full time or part time and, getting their experience, I know is a different form of getting information to really help your decision making process. So again, just I myself feel very, honored to be in the presence of alumni and students here today to get a lot of that firsthand experience. I love hearing about that. I do have let's see, a question in here from Rodney Johnson. It says, what is the best recourse when you are falling behind on a course? Um, I think this would be great for Nika or Donnie to address.
Hey, I think just contacting the professor or the instructor and letting them know your situation as early as possible instead of waiting until the assignment is due. So whenever you feel that you may not meet your deadline, then definitely contact your instructor. They're very encouraging about that.
Thank you. Donnie, anything to add to that?
No, ma'am. She couldn't have answered better. Definitely, as soon as you see, because that was my problem, being half blind and trying to do assignments. And then, like I said, toward the end, having a colon cancer scare, running back and forth to the doctor, this, that, and the other. I just simply called my instructor. When they give you your course syllabi or you go to the course syllabi, they either have a number usually that you can call or text them. Call and text immediately. And that's what I did. As soon as I saw I had issues, and your instructors will work with you. If you wait, like Nika said, toward the end, they might not be as forgiving, and they might not give you maybe what you think you need. So as soon as you see you have an obstacle, a problem, or a roadblock, do not, do not, do not hesitate to get in contact with your instructor, either through email, or if they have given you a phone number, call and leave a message. I promise you, they will call you back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. And I'm sure Molly would attest to this too. At any time, if say you get called into work, which happens quite a bit, a lot of OTs happening right now with the, COVID crisis. So communication is going to be key, contacting your professor right away and then letting them know. So that way they are informed and understand what's happening and can develop some ways to get you through that week. So thank you for sharing that as well. I have another question in here. It says, is the online platform difficult to adjust to?
I
No,
don't
I
think.
don't difficult at all to maneuver through. Everything's laid out. And of course, you can call. I believe Donnie said that she called the support desk or something, and they will they're more than happy to assist you with anything if you're lost, if you're confused, or you forgot where something was. Of course, the instructor, you can reach out to them, but I believe there is a support line you can call if you're having some technical support.
Can I address that as well?
Hmm. Absolutely.
Um, I want to honestly, I think one of the best ways to handle, I do not believe it's difficult to navigate at all as a student as well as an advisor. But one of the best ways is, like Nika said, she personally uses the grades tab to navigate most effectively for herself. I feel like as a new student, so often you see all the options and there's so many options that it can be overwhelming and confusing. I feel like, just like Nika did, finding the grades tab and saying, you know what, this works for me to navigate through this and see what I really need to do. I know a lot of times I recommend for my students to use the modules tab as their home base. Some students are very comfortable using the syllabi. I think it can be very different for everyone, but finding a way that does work for you, that you know you can count on and that you're very comfortable with as a new student, and then kind of getting into those other ways as you get into more and more classes. Don't try to take on too much right away, but find one way that works for you and go with it. And obviously, you can always call your advisor as well beyond IT too if you have questions or need help navigating.
Absolutely. Donnie, anything you'd like to add? How was your transition into the online environment from your perspective?
Actually, it wasn't hard at all. You if you talk to other students, you find out a lot. And I'd like to make this suggestion. Facebook can also be a best friend as opposed to your social media enemy. I joined the RN-BSN online forum through my Facebook page. I also joined the RN-BSN alumni page that was created by another student who also graduated from Chamberlain. And I am on the Chamberlain University alumni online page. So I was a part of all of these social media forums. And these forums are actual students getting on, and we're conversing with each other about who's a good instructor, say, for example, for statistics, or what do you recommend for me to take? I'm down to my last 3 classes. And it's a way that we're able to talk to each other, communicate with each other. We share questions, we share our concerns. And so it is a wonderful tool to utilize, and it will help you kind of navigate through sometimes murky waters. So I would suggest to anyone who is going to Chamberlain to get on these forums, and you'll be surprised. You may make friendships that'll last for the rest of your life. So it's something that will help. It won't hinder, it will help.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Awesome. We
Yes,
also
ma'am.
have, I'm going to plug our student readiness seminars. So a couple of things that'll help you as a brand new student to get to learn the online environment. So we actually have these readiness seminars that you'll sign up for once you're registered, and you get to watch a live presentation where we'll share our screens and we'll show you how to log in and how to navigate the site, how to post in your discussions, how to access the library and all of your resources. So you can attend as many of those as you'd like. The other thing is you also get access to preview week. So a week before classes start, as long as you're registered, you can actually get a head start and go in and play around with the online environment. So start getting familiar with the student portal, the community side, logging into class and going into your modules, introducing yourself, read your professor's announcements. So, that's something that you'll actually have access to not only your first session, but every session that you're registered, you'll get that extra week in advance. If you'd like to be proactive and log into class a little bit early, but especially that first session, though, it really comes in handy because then you can take what you learned from the seminar and practice it during that preview week. And that way, during week 1, you're just logging in and you're going to dive right into class. So I don't know, Nika, Donnie, if you can recall those experiences and if they were helpful for you as well, but just
Yes,
something I
ma'am.
want to
Yes,
share from.
indeed.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed, they were. They were. It was just, I was just so excited after being accepted. You hear the hype, and people talk about your school that you might be going to. And I was like, well, you know what? I want to see for myself. And like you said, going online, the preview week, getting to experiment and see what the forum was like, it was really helpful. But I had been in a previous RN-BSN program, and it was an online program. And the reason why I had to leave was I had gotten sepsis. And I was sick, very sick, and I had to withdraw from the program. And with all the credits that I had, they told me, well, it's been too long. I would have to go back in and repeat everything. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. There is got to be another way for me to get my B.
Oh, Donnie, I think we lost you. You still there? Hopefully we can reconnect with Donnie here. Oh, are you
Hello?
back?
Yeah,
Oh, there you are.
I don't know what
You're
happened.
back.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
But the preview week was really, really helpful. I had been in a previous RN program, and I had to withdraw because I caught sepsis. And I didn't have to be hospitalized, but I was really down sick for like about 2 weeks. And so the university that I was attending, even though I explained the situation, they really didn't want to work with me. And so with all of the classes that I had completed, they were like, well, it's been too long and you're going to have to go back and start everything over. I'm not doing that. No way. The time, the effort, the financial aid money that was spent, I was like, there's got to be another way to do this. And God blessed me that I had enough financial aid left over that I was able to go apply to Chamberlain, get accepted. All my credits from my previous education from RN and from my associate degree transferred over. So I had like about 80 some credits to transfer over to Chamberlain. So I had 9 classes that I had to take. I wasn't too particularly fond of political science, but we got it done. And I definitely wasn't fond of statistics. Statistics is a booger bear. But if you get tutoring, if you get help, it is something that is manageable and it can be done. So I hope whoever is listening, do not let political science and do not let statistics deter you from coming to Chamberlain, because there are ways to get what you need and to be able to successfully pass the class. And because statistics is a math class, it is not a required nursing class. I can testify because I had a B, and because of sickness, I went down from a B to a D. But because I had an instructor that was willing to work for me and with me to make sure that I was on the path to success and graduated, I was able to graduate with that D, and I still have a decent enough GPA to go back for a master's.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
And I do have so one more question I have here. I'm going to direct this one over for either Jordan or Molly. It's a question about books. So do you have a preference between regular books or ebooks?
I can definitely say that my preference used to be traditional textbooks in my undergrad, but when I went back and got my graduate degree with Chamberlain, I chose to try the ebooks and the what we were talking about with work-life balance, obviously earlier and throughout the conversation. The audio function on the ebooks was a lifesaver for me. At the time, it was pre-COVID, and we were driving into the office, every day. And, being in the Chicago area, it took me close to an hour to get into the office. And being able to use the audio function, have the app on my phone, hit play on the books or on the case studies and listen to them on the drive into the office, and actually get the information from my books on the way in and then on the way home. I tell my students all the time, it's not Morgan Freeman. It is a computer generated voice. It would be wonderful if Chamberlain would invest in a really great reader for our books. Sadly, it's not. So it does take a minute to get used to the computer generated voice. I'm going to be honest about that. But once you're used to it, even listening to your chapters and listening to your case studies in any time. I could also put it on my computer on the counter when I was doing dishes or folding laundry at night. It saved my eyes a lot of time, to be honest. Reading, I'm on the computer all day anyway, like a lot of my nurses are. And being able to listen to it, the case studies in particular, being able to listen to those on the drive, they're like little stories, hearing about this disease or this patient or how this happened, and being able to listen to those. And it did save me a lot of reading time when I got home. Plus, it was also a way to absorb the material differently, gave me an option there. So I really ended up being a big convert of ebooks, where initially I really did prefer traditional textbooks, but the time and the energy just the different way of learning that the ebooks provided, I end up really finding the value in them. And I ended up getting a little bit frustrated when I would have a class that didn't offer the ebook and I had to get the traditional textbook. ah, dang it, I can't take advantage of my drive anymore with this one. So it is definitely something I can relate to with my students, having gone through it myself. And because a lot of students do say, you know what, I want the traditional textbook. I want to be able to highlight. I want to be able to flip the pages, and being able to say, actually, you can highlight in the ebook. There's a couple different highlighters, and there's all these additional functions, and kind of showing them like, just try it, because I was someone who had to be convinced as well. But it definitely, I ended up preferring the ebooks, and I still do.
Yeah, and just to echo off of that, I mean, I love the ebooks personally just because of all the added benefit, especially when you maybe don't have your book near you. So let's say you do have just some downtime during like a lunch period or anything like that. You can just, as long as you have internet, you can basically just pull it right up. But I do like, we also offer like the printed ebook. So at least it still gives you that like tangible book, because I also love to have something where I can physically take notes in, and I'm kind of like circling things in areas. And so at least that printed ebook gives you that function of having something tangible itself, but you still have your ebook to utilize like all the added benefits from that too.
Yep, definitely. Thank you for both for sharing. And yeah, so from an admission standpoint, you have, it depends on the class that you're enrolling in. Sometimes they only have ebooks available for the class. You have to get the ebook. But the benefits are that, you can typically do a lot of the things that you would do in real life electronically, like the highlighting and the bookmarking and taking notes, jumping to a page, using keywords to search. It's just electronic. And then sometimes, as Jordan said, there's a printed ebook feature where you can order a printed ebook with the ebook. You would have to get them together, and then you kind of have the best of both worlds. You have the ebook and it's something physical, tangible. That way you can see how you feel about both. And then some classes will offer all three options, and you get to choose what you want. Some classes might just have the hardcover book. So it just honestly depends on the class. That'll determine what options you have. But thank you both for sharing your personal experience with all of those options. They're all great options to have. Um, and again, thank you everyone for attending this morning and submitting your questions over. So hopefully this was incredibly helpful for you. Again, just want to give a special thanks to Donnie and Nika. Donnie, thank you so much for sharing your story, and what a success story that is. Through everything that all the challenges that you faced, you were able to persevere, and through, again, just your own personal motivations and seeing the end goal in sight and using your resources. It sounds like you've had an incredible experience here at Chamberlain, and I'm excited to see what's in store for you. And also, sending healing vibes your way as you're recovering now. And Nika, again, continued luck on your journey here at Chamberlain. Keep working hard, keep using your resources. So excited for, your end goal in sight. You're getting ready to start your MSN, but thank you both for taking the time to address these questions and share your experience with all of us. We really, really appreciate it. And for those of you online that are interested in applying in one of our programs, go ahead and go to www.chamberlain.edu and select the program of your choice. And of course, one of our admissions team members will be happy to reach out to you and walk you through that process. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jordan and Molly, for your time as well. Have a great day, and you all take care. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
So you